Hello, welcome to my channel. Before I start the meditation today, I wanted to show you something. And the reason that I have these cards is because it coincides with the dream I had a few nights ago where I was talking about the man with the cello, and that happened actually during the meditation. And so the cards, they're very beautiful cards. They're called the Oracle of Mystical Moments, and they are really, really beautiful. And I saw this live stream about these cards in the in a chat. They were discussing them and stuff, and they were talking about these cards. And the one that I was remembering from the dream was this one. And if you notice that the man is holding a cello, and that the light from beyond the cello is like filtering into it. And this was the image that I saw in the dream. And this was really a very interesting image. But at any rate, that was the image. And there were like a whole bunch of these men that were holding cellos, just like in this picture. And they were, playing music and things like that. And then I saw in the dream, I saw a whole bunch of these men. They were all sitting and playing the cello, and they had it was a very similar image to what's in the card. And then what happened was after I woke up, I was remembering the dream. And so a couple of days ago, I was talking about it in the meditation. So if you haven't seen that meditation, I'm not going to re-outline it, because then the people who've already seen it would say, oh yeah, I know. Okay. So that is what I wanted to tell you. And I thought that was kind of significant. So at any rate, that was the meditation from a few days ago, and I can try and find the exact date and timestamp or whatever of when we were talking about that. But I think you'd be able to find it. My channel's not that big, so not yet anyway. Hopefully. But anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and do day 8 of the meditation. This is the 21-day Metatron meditation challenge based on the book, The Path to Hearing Angels and Guides, 21 Days of Meditation by Debbra Lupien. And so we're going to go into meditation number 8 as on the 8th day. Today is February 6, 2025. So here we go. I hope today will be a tiny bit lighter than yesterday. He says, you are the one who decides which direction it goes. I'm only telling you the things in connection to what you say. You indicate lightness, then there will be lightness. That's how affirmations work. I said, fair enough. So do you have a message for me today? He says, don't eat pears. Okay, very funny. Well, no one can accuse you of not having a sense of humor. And he says, I have it all. Yes, starting with modesty. You said it, not me, he says. Okay, I said. I said I wanted light, but now we're being a bit silly. And he says, you like silly. I said, yes, I do like silly. I grew up watching silly things. It somehow makes reality more bearable. And he says, indeed, laughter is an important part of the human experience. Imagine how depressed the people would be if there was no humor. It is important to not only look at things from a serious point of view. Yesterday we talked about some very serious topics: attachment, isolation, and the end of a cycle. Today we counter that with something lighthearted. You do realize that to be lighthearted is important, if not more important in the grand scheme of things. How so? I asked. He says, well, think about it. You use humor to not necessarily laugh at others, but to laugh with them. The concept of you not being perfect gives rise to humorous situations. Sometimes the concept of laughing at yourself means that you are acknowledging your kind of humanness. When you stumble and say, wow, am I a klutz? You are able to see when you can't stay on your feet. What did you do when you had cancer? I said I laughed and joked around a lot. He says, do you remember the day at the hospital just before you got a blood test? Oh, do I? I was seated next to a gentleman who was waiting to go in and get his blood test done. The nurse comes down the hallway and says very cheerfully, good morning. I responded in kind. As this is happening, the nurse calls the man in. The woman seated with him turns to me and says, I don't understand why she is so cheerful. Does she not realize where she is? I looked at her and I said, well, I would rather have a nurse who is in a good mood and displays positivity than to feel like I am walking into a place of gloom and doom. At that moment, the man comes out and I went in. He said, that stayed with you. I said, yeah. I guess speaking as a patient, I realized that my words were more impactful as opposed to just walking into a situation as someone accompanying a patient. Maybe it made this woman think. And he says, yes, it did. She realized that her own mood was encased in a notion of being powerless in that particular situation. She thought that misery loves company. Imagine if you were accompanying someone and they were contending with something similar to what you were dealing with. You would perhaps feel powerless in that, as that woman must have felt. I said, yeah, I see what you mean. She probably would have preferred herself to go through all of that as opposed to her partner. And he says, you got it. She was contending with this as best she could. And for her, a somber sort of nurse would imply professionalism, and that was what she expected. You, on the other hand, saw that level of professionalism as stuffy and somber, not really what you needed given the scenario. I said, yeah. And one of the ladies in the room later during the chemo thought that I was funny. She liked that I had an optimistic sense of humor. And he says, yes, your humor kept you, shall I say, sane during a difficult time. So perhaps that is what you need at this juncture of human history. It will help ease your state of mind during all of this. I asked, will it get better? That depends on how you define better. Okay, I mean, will things become easier to contend with? He says, I still can't tell you that. What I can say is humanity will survive. There won't be some great flood that will wash everything and everyone away. It will go on and humanity will evolve. The key to that is accepting that what happens will not be based on some outdated notion that one group of humans are better or more deserving than another. But the whole of humanity will overcome the obstacles that are placed before it. I said, that actually makes sense. He said, good. I wasn't intending on explaining that bit. You are smart enough to comprehend it. I said, well, thank you for the note of confidence. And he said, anytime. So that was the end of the meditation for today. I really liked today's meditation. I thought it was wonderful. And maybe because of the humor, maybe because it is a lot easier to do a video with a little bit of humor, a little bit of lightheartedness, as opposed to doing something that's based in somber sadness, hopelessness, and all those other things that sometimes we sink into. So I hope that this will bring you a little bit of optimism, a little bit of hope, a little bit of positivity, and maybe a little bit of humor as well, because I think we all need it sometimes. We can't just sit in our sadness and think, oh my God, the world is going to hell in a handbasket and not be able to do anything about it. We have to be able to pick ourselves up and say, okay, we're going to try and make the best out of this. And if it means laughing a little bit at ourselves, at the situations, and even the politicians, then maybe it's not such a bad idea. And maybe that will help enable us to be able to see through to tomorrow and enjoy what we have today. So I thank you for being here and thank you for listening. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And I hope that you can find the humor in any situation. It's sometimes hard to find in certain cases, but hopefully it will help you to have a reason to smile. So thank you. Take care. And as always, namaste.